This is Ron Klopfanstein, and we're on the hot seat on a Media Monday. Hey everybody, welcome to the hot seat on this Media Monday. I'm Ron Klopfanstein. A lot has been happening here in the Mohawk Valley. It's the second week of Pride Month, and later in the show, I'll have a report on how the Central New York Roller Derby raised funds and promoted awareness about LGBTQ plus issues with the triple header half moon hustle. The Central New York Role-Playing Game Convention is coming up this weekend, and in the next segment, Rebisz will be here to tell us all about it. Also, our intern and associate producer, Lily Christopher, will present her first story, report on Mariah's Closet, a thrift store that was founded with a purpose. Bud Green was Bud in the nighttime on local radio, and now he manages the tribute pages for Rock 107, KG 104, and New York Z. Bud was a call-in guest a few months ago, but this time he's here in person, and he brought along another favorite from local radio. So, Bud, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And who do you have here with you?
We brought another local legend, Donna Ray, as a lot of people know her. How you doing, Donna?
I love it. You know, we remember you guys from, you know, radio and music makes such an impression on our life. And
right.
We remember you, and you guys were radio to us. What was it like to be in radio back then?
It was fun. It was our dream. It was actually all of our dreams.
It was great.
Donna before me, and I used to listen to her and all the folks on Rock 107. Then I said, you know what? When I get that right age where I can start working, I'm going to be working with a radio station, and that's when I signed on. And that was in the early 90s.
Good for you. So, like, when you were that right age, how did you break in? Did you just show up and say, you know, I'm ready, give me a shot, or what did you do?
I was fresh out of high school. I was ready to go to college. I went to OCC, and during that time, I says, you know, I want to work in radio, work in the business that I'm doing. So that's how I did it. I actually started running the boards at one of the local radio stations at KG 104 WRUN. And that's where I learned how to do all that. During this satellite show, it was a satellite show, I would run into the other room, the production room, and make an air check tape, a tape that sounds like I'm on the radio. Yeah. And I sent it to Jim Wrights, or JR, over at Rock 107, and he said, hey, you sound great, come on over, we got a spot for you.
So your first job at KG 104, like, you would have a nationally syndicated show.
Yes.
And so, like, your job as someone who began in the field would be to make sure that the show was airing on the local station, and that the local commercials were inserted at the right time. So it's kind of a lot of like technical work and time pressure and crunching and
because we had two stations. You also had WRUN, and you had to run next door, take care of their satellite, then come back over, go back on 107, take care, or on KG 104, take care of their satellite rate, and get them both rolling.
And when he says run, he
means
run.
I was going to say that it must have been like a lot of like pressure back and forth.
You had to make sure everything was right. Believe me, if you forgot about the AM in the other room, the old lady would be calling up.
Your AM is busy. It's not like not like today.
No.
No computers.
No computer to back you
up.
up.
So, Donna, how did you get your start? You were telling me before the show, like, you were out of high school. You were a DJ too.
Yeah, I was in a band.
What a cool job.
I was in a band, and one of the DJs over at WTQ, which was the sister station of WOUR. I didn't start at Rock 107, but I always listened to them. And he said, hey, Donna Ray, I want you to be my ray of sunshine in the morning. Yeah. Be my morning girl. And I said, I don't know what to do.
And that's like a big job,
you have a great voice.
The morning shift
was
a big deal, too.
Yeah. So it was country, and I did it because I talked. I was always a lead singer, and I always talked to everybody, and I'm a talker. Yeah. So went from there, went to OUR. And then JR, because I was in a rock band, Screaming Nurse, which actually this is ironic that you guys called me, because when I was working for Rock 107, I was with Screaming Nurse too, back in the 80s. Yeah. And then after like 87 or so, 88, we disbanded. And then I left Rock 107 like 89 or so. And then didn't do anything with Rock 107 or didn't do anything with Screaming Nurse, and then I'm back with Screaming Nurse. I brought him back.
Cool. Oh my gosh.
Fundraisers and benefits with Stephen Swan Humane Society.
Wow.
And then Bud said, hey, I'm going to be on the radio. Do you want to, talk about
what we're doing?
Rock 107. And I said, yeah.
Sure.
They were great days. I mean, so JR stole me. He goes, listen, Donna, you know, I think you'll be a great night girl on the weekends. Got a great voice, and I'll pay you more than WOUR. I'm like, huh? Jerry Krause, if you're listening, sorry, I had to, you know. So, so I went, and Ugly, and Harry Larry, and Sherry. And, you know, they all had little nicknames and stuff. And he said, you can't be Donna Ray because we have Linda Ray already on the radio.
That's right, yeah.
She's Linda Ray, R-A-Y-E.
Back then, I have to say, I have to cut in here for a minute, because back then, we always thought you two were sisters. Because back then, radio was a big deal. And so, like, back then, like, we would actually think about and talk about the DJs, like, you know, like celebrities. Like, and so people always saw and wondered, there were big debates, like, at parties. About whether you two were sisters or not.
So
you know?
This is funny because she's a little bit older than me.
So are you or aren't you?
So, well, when we were competitors, I always said, oh, yeah, that's my mom. Just kidding, Linda. I love Linda.
And you're not sisters?
No. She's not even a Ray.
Last name, right?
No, I'm a Ray, R-A-Y.
Yeah.
She's a middle R-A-Y.
Right.
And but it's hilarious. And then of course as we got older, we're good friends. She's actually was at our Rock for the Rescue couple years, last year maybe it was, for Screaming Nurse, and she did all the narration because I like to do a little theatrical stuff.
Oh, really?
With the music and stuff.
Yeah.
So we had Linda Ray come up, the Fox That Rocks.
Yeah.
Because I like to bring back all that 80s stuff.
Great stuff.
You know? So,
such good memories.
Yeah, so it was great. But JR stole me, and he's the one that actually showed me what to do. I had no clue.
What did he show you? So what do you have to do?
Okay, so there were turntables. Don't forget.
Before there was CDs.
I knew how to do that from...
No streaming then.
No streaming.
No. I knew how to do that from WOUR.
Yeah.
And I knew a lot of the stuff, but he had, like, all this carts thing, and he was so precise, and then you had the Casey Kasem. And what's that other guy that had the show? He was a dancing guy or something.
Oh, Ron Sugar Bear? You think? Or at the time...
Didn't he have the Solid Gold Dancers or something, that guy?
Something like that, yeah.
But
so what carts were like, for people that don't work in the radio, carts were kind of like, they look like little cassette tapes, right? And like they would have built in like a particular commercial or a song they would play.
They were like an 8-track.
Right. And like you would play automatically. Like you put it in,
you have to put it in it was like an 8-track player. Yep. There would be like how many were there? 3 or 4?
There were 6 of them.
6 of them.
Straight
and
across.
They would be marked.
Yep.
For commercials, how many? 30 seconds, 1 minute. And you would have to know your time.
Yes. Right.
And didn't you have a little clock there
too?
Yeah,
you had a clock, it counted it all down, but you had to memorize it though.
No, I'm going to tell you what, I don't think anybody could do what we did now.
I can't
because it's all computers, and you really got to use your noggin.
Yeah.
You really had to time things, and when you're talking over the intros or the outros of the songs, you really have to know what's going on so you don't. Nobody was telling us.
I was going to say, that must have been hard. DJs must do that a lot more. They would talk in the beginning.
You have to know the music.
Yeah, and like when to be done.
Well, because you don't want to be talking over Madonna singing, you know? So you really had to know what you were. Tell you what, DJs back in the 80s and the early 90s, they really had skill.
I bet you were good at math too, with the timing. I mean, just the math of timing it in your head, like, to get all this stuff.
Absolutely.
You had to back time in order to make sure that you were on time for the top of the hour.
That's
where
and if you're taking your 2 stations at once too,
that was at one time I was doing that. Yeah, it was really neat. Like fire the top of the hour off of one station, run and catch the other one within like seconds.
Wow,
that's how quick that was.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah.
So was it so for you, Donna, when you went from like a country station to rock, was it like a better fit? Does it matter like when you're a DJ if the music is more like music that you like, or does it make a difference?
Well, UTQ went from country to big band.
Oh, they did. I don't remember.
And then I was working both of them, OUR
that's
and
a big
them.
change, big band music.
So I had classic rock, I don't know, was it classic back then?
Yeah. Well, they were progressive rock. They were progressive rock stations.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And then Rock 107 Top 40, I loved it all, and I played it all. Yeah. I mean, I was in country bands. I was in classic rock bands.
So you do like all kinds of music.
I love all kinds of music. I sang country for a long time from when I was 12. My parents were bringing me around to bars. Too bad you can't get me now. But
did you have trouble getting into big band music at all? Because it is like a whole different kind of like.
I love that. I love that music.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the Queen of the Benign or Tommy G? Was it
like Glenn Miller?
Tommy Dorsey.
Glenn Miller, Tommy Dorsey.
Yeah, those.
Yeah, all that stuff. No, I mean, it was a nice change.
So when you did change like that, though, did you have to like? How did you like? I would imagine like if you're a DJ with say like a top 40 station, you might be more familiar with like the performers because they're in the culture zeitgeist. You know, when you switch over, like if you're being a DJ, but I'm sure you speak to this too. Like if you're a DJ for a station with more like a niche kind of programming,
right?
Is it hard to like pick up enough knowledge to put things in context easily, like to be able to toss off, you know?
It makes it easier if you're playing the music that that you're talking about or what have you. It's easier to
if it's stuff you read about in Rolling Stone yourself and like you're interested in.
Exactly. So if you're interested in, well, she's got like classic rock or what have you.
Yeah.
You would already know the knowledge of the artist of what they did and stuff like that, and it makes it better. It makes for a better show too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really
So like, how do you get ready to talk about Tommy Dorsey or the Glenn Miller Orchestra? Like, if you're a DJ for that, like, do you like?
I sang in a wedding band.
So you already know about that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I had a wedding band, and then I filled in for a lot of wedding bands.
Yeah.
At that time, because I mean, live music back in the '80s was huge.
Oh yeah.
Weddings.
Right.
I mean, we would do 4 weddings a weekend. Yeah. And so I was familiar with everything.
That must have prepared you so well for the field.
It was great. I mean, and then you just, read, go to the library if you need it. But I mean, everything was just like I knew it. Yeah. You know, I didn't really have to study.
No, not really.
How about you, Bud?
The thing of it is like we would have like a back then fax machine copies of stuff that would come in current news stories of some of the artists at the time.
Yeah.
And so you can pick out different stories out of that. Yeah, the AP wire. Actually, you sit there and print.
Did the publicists, like entertainers, publicists probably push stuff out to radio stations too?
The daily faxes and stuff, they would push that.
Yeah.
The AP was strictly like for news and stories and what have you. And then the other thing was also cool about it is, of course, we didn't have internet then and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes the station would send, or the record companies would send liner notes or what have you. So you can find out more about the artist.
Little,
liner
like,
notes.
Interesting
stories of like a bio and stuff. Read up on them stuff. And of course, I used to stop by the local store on Washington Mills. Remember the one right across the street from the station? The gas station right there, and you go right before you go down that big long road.
What the heck was it?
I don't remember what the name of the station was, but I used to go. I used to stop there before I had my show, and I'd pick up magazines. You know, you pick up. You pick up. I'd pick up a
Tiger Beat.
Yeah, there you go.
Like the pop culture type
stuff. Got it.
People back then and stuff.
Yeah, and you know the current ones too, the ones that you read the funny stories about. And I used to tell sometimes I'd read those funny stories. And I called it the Believe It or Not file. And everybody would laugh like heck over it. That can't be true. You know, it's funny. It really was.
So would you guys go into a shift like with an idea of like maybe like with a stack of some papers, like print out stuff, like maybe little things you could highlight, little jokes and stuff.
Yeah, why not?
Stories.
Absolutely.
Like, would you have that in advance or?
Sometimes yes, sometimes yes, sometimes no. I mean, you know, like, hey, you know what? That'd be an interesting deal for my show.
Just kind of hold on to it. And
or you see a headline in the, you know, you're in the supermarket, say, hey, you know what? That's cool. I'll get to grab that and read that on the radio, see if they'll believe it or not. I mean, that was that part of it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as I say, the other thing too, we also had to push the station promotions, which Don is very familiar. Oh yeah, I mean, there's some stations or some of the breaks on the clock where you're talking over an intro of a song, you would be talking about an event that's coming up.
Yeah,
and like you have to get station promotion. Hey, don't forget to stick it to win for your chance to win a new car, which Don and I were talking about.
How did you keep all that straight in your head, like all the different slogans and all the different
Well, JR was a fanatic about that stuff.
He was all written on we had this big.
Oh, it was really?
Yeah, we had this big reader thing on the front of like a stand in front of us. So we'd have like the clock there, the weather would be over here, And then,
I see.
And then we had flip cards.
Yep, the cards. He had the cards. You would have to pick the cards.
Yep.
And
you flip the card, then you pick the next light. You read this at 35.
I see. So like the cards would be like certain like things you'd have to say like
the gong show's coming up, or the fair's coming up, or whatever.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a structure that you had, like
there's a format. You got to follow the format because if you don't follow the format.
Well, yeah, it was every 10, 20, 40, and 50
break,
that would be breaks.
Yep.
Oh, okay. 10. Okay. It's kind of like what we have here. We have like 20.
Yeah, 40, they're pretty much the same.
So 20, basically the 20, 35, and 50 were when I was there. Yeah. But they also had a little what it was called in-between song breaks, which you'd read over the intro of a song. So you'd want to have a kind of long of an intro song so you can fit the information in there.
So that'd be a song like where the music would start to play with the
lyrics. You want to hit it just before she starts singing. You don't want to step on them singing.
Now, were there ever times like when you did step on them singing? Of course. I mean, there must have been times.
Oh yeah.
I never did. So JR also.
JR's no longer with us, so we can tell him now.
So when I started, he said you can never have dead air, which who would want dead air anyway? And he had like this drum beat. I don't know if he. See, I was 80s. He was more 90s.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just two different, decades.
Yeah.
And it did change a lot, even for him.
I want to talk more about that too. Like when we come back, and also like more about someone like some of your like favorite memories of back then, like all these cool events and stuff that you guys did. So we'll have a lot more time for that kind of stuff too. So we're talking today to Bud Green and Donna Ray from Classic Mohawk Valley Radio. In the next segment, I'll have the on-the-scene report from the Central New York Roller Derby's triple header half moon hustle. Then Roger Rebisz will be here to talk about Central New York role-playing game convention. And later in the show, Lily Christopher will have her story about Mariah's Closet, a thrift store that was founded with a purpose. I'll have the video and podcast from the show online Wednesday at uticaphoenix.net/Media Monday. You're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. I'm Ron Klopfanstein. I'll have more after the break.
To find a donation site near you.
Hey, man on the street, aren't you Woodstock Ron?
Excuse me?
Aren't you Woodstock Ron?
Yes. This is Ron Klopfanstein, and you're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. This past Saturday, the Central New York Roller Derby held a triple header half moon hustle. It was an afternoon-long event to raise money and awareness for LGBTQ Pride Month. Photojournalist Jim Hale and I were on the scene, and we have this report. That report is coming right up. We were at Clinton Arena on Saturday for Central New York Roller Derby. Half moon hustle, a triple header to raise money and awareness for LGBTQ Pride Month. I'm with Smash, a chaos ladies who are skaters in the roller derby. So tell me, what is roller derby?
Roller derby is a fast-paced skating.
What do you actually do?
So the idea is you have 4 blockers and a jammer in each team. So the blocker's job is to block and not let through the jammer moving through, and then vice versa. So there's on each team. So it's a very fast-paced game because you can go from playing defense to offense within a matter of a second.
We just try to make it fun. Everybody kind of gets to do their own thing. It's very unique and just what you want. So, yeah.
And does that connect with the theme of Pride Month? I know you like trying to help.
Yes, because roller derby is very inclusive. Anybody can do it. You put on a pair of skates, you learn how to skate, and
So next generation is going to be roller derby too?
Are you going to play roller derby yet?
Yeah.
Been playing roller derby for almost 10 years now. I've got three kids that play roller derby. Wow. 2 of them are here today. And then I play myself, and I'm president of Rochester Area Junior Roller Derby, so we've got our league in Rochester.
So why is this a really good sport for kids?
For kids, I mean, it's great for their balance and their endurance, and also it's very accepting. So where a lot of times you're in a sport, and if you haven't been playing it your entire life and you aren't fitting the exact mold, you don't fit in. But with roller derby, people really fit in. Anybody can play.
And it seems like the sport that you can play into as you get older too. Like you don't have to necessarily age out quickly, which is nice.
Yes, with juniors, we actually make sure. I know Rochester does, but I've also seen Upstate do that as well, where they make sure that as the kids age out, they have a league to go to. So as kids graduate, go off to college, we make those connections and help them find the league that they're going to go to next.
How many years have you been involved?
So I started playing just about 10 years ago.
Wow.
Kat Castle is my youngest child. She is 10 years old, and she's been on skates for the past 9 years. So.
And it's kind of cool to see it resurging like this.
It's fantastic. I really love it. I like the flat track aspect of it because we can, any place that has a smooth flat floor,
we can do it.
We can
like an ice rink or whatever. Yeah. Right. So who's with you here today?
This is my grandmother.
Hey, how are you?
Hi. Greetings. My name is Marilyn.
Hi, Marilyn.
Hi, I'm Aunt Linda.
And who are you guys here to cheer on?
Oh, we're here to cheer on. I have 2 granddaughters, that great-granddaughters, I should say, that are skating today. One is Kat, that you have seen, Kat Castle, and the other one is goes by Abysmal.
Oh. I love that.
I knew. The names always get me.
I'm with Chris and Katie. Chris, you've been a fan of roller derby for quite a while, right?
Yeah, about 5 years.
What is it that people that closer to your? What is it that you like about it?
I like the teams about it. Like everybody, it's all inclusive, so anybody can join. Everybody's welcome. It's a sense of community.
Yeah,
we all go out all over the country and different states or whatever to go do roller derby. And a lot of us all go do it together.
And you brought Katie. This is your first time, right? I'll pass the mic over to you. So you've never seen roller derby before in person, right?
Correct.
I was telling the others that the last time I saw this was on TV in the 70s, Happy Days, Little Burgers Church. What do you think roller derby? What do you think it was going to be like?
I'm familiar with it from TV. I came out to support my niece. First game that's been close enough for me to attend. But it's fun to see in person, just the different, the whole concept of the game and how the points work.
It's kind of fun and exciting, too.
It is.
Yeah.
I love that.
The people I spoke to here tonight have praised for the sport, both for its athleticism and the way it includes everybody. For 95.5 FM The Heat, I'm Ron Klopfanstein at the Clinton Arena.
I'll have the video version of that report on my YouTube channel. A link to it is at uticaphoenix.net/Media Monday. On the next Hot Seat Media Monday, we'll be talking about how people use media to memorialize with Jennifer Boulanger, the author of A Song for Olaf, Sue Francisco, the founder of Whitney's Legacy, and Kelly Fahey, who's the chairman of Whitney's Legacy Music Fest. Also, I'll be on the scene at the No Kings Rally in Herkimer, and I'll have a full report. And our entertainment correspondent, Nabil Khan, will be here with an update on the new Nintendo Switch and the latest on how the tariffs are impacting the gaming industry. Then the following week, we'll have superstar Ryan Quinn. In the next segment, we'll have Lily Christopher's report on Mariah's Closet. The Central New York Role-Playing Game Convention will take place this Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. at Burstone Inn on Burstone Road in New Hartford. Now we're joined by Roger Rebisz, who's organizing the event. Roger, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing today?
So what's this convention going to be like? What is role-playing?
Well, I don't know if you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons from
a little bit
from the 70s. I know that recently it's in the last 5 years or so, mostly due to Critical Role and Stranger Things, especially is
very current
brought
again.
it back, and then You know, we had that big event 5 years ago where no one wanted to go outside, so
right.
we, you know, everybody kind of, you know, started playing online and things like that. So I think all of that kind of helped to grow the community there, and then so there's various conventions that are, you know, all over the country where people get together and, you know, play these different role-playing games.
So are these competitive, these conventions? The people playing? Like when you go to a convention and you sign up, like you're assigned to like a table, kind of like as if you're at a casino, right?
You sign up. Well, you sign up, in advance. Yeah. So you pick a table and you can see who else has joined or like what type of game it is. It's,
right.
I mean, it's not just, you know,
it'd be a game that you
stuff,
play, I would imagine.
Yeah, usually. Well, there's a lot of new people that show up that want to, you know, maybe they play other games. Maybe they don't play any games and they just want to learn and say, hey,
cool.
like, what is this game?
You know, like role play.
Yeah. There's a lot of fantasy-based games. You know, traditional like Tolkien like fantasy, and there's, you know, space opera stuff. There's I mean, there's Star Wars games. You could do.
There's so much more to it than just Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yeah, and Dungeons and Dragons is
not that that's not great, but I mean, there's a lot to it.
It's kind of become like the Kleenex thing. That's like the name brand, but it's really. You know,
just
everybody's talking about it's one of many, and there's a lot of like clones from different versions, and over the years, and there's edition wars and things, and people like what they like from certain things, and it's a mess. But no, normally people sit down at the table and they're cooperative, you know, to try and overcome, you know, an obstacle or whatever.
So it's competitive. It's not like you really want to like beat the other people. It's like you're kind of.
Right, because you need them because
it's kind of, there's kind of a team ethos at times with these games, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Like one person or one player or whatever usually can't, you know, overcome an obstacle or whatever. Yeah, there's really no like winning, losing. There's different people that agree with different things on that.
So it does seem like these do build a community in these friendships and the people that play these games, because you spend so much time together and you kind of work in cooperatively while competing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's a great time, and it's a very social game.
Yeah.
You know, and because you're always just kind of just talking and, you know, bouncing ideas off each other.
I do think of these games as like a modern phenomenon, or at least of like from the 80s, like from my time. But you're saying like they actually have a historical antecedent that goes back further than 1987. And
well,
the Stranger Things
Dungeons and Dragons came. That the first official version of it was in 1974, which
that's even earlier than like I imagine even for that. So.
Yeah, but that was based on wargaming out in the Midwest.
Okay.
There was a group of people that had a war game group in the 50s and 60s.
What is that? What is a war game group?
So wargaming, role-playing, the RPGs that we're talking about, Dungeons and Dragons and whatnot, you play a singular character. You play a character, that's your character. It has, you know, that character has a name and a type and, you know, statistics or whatever.
Like abilities and liabilities.
Right. A war game is zoomed out further, I guess, is a good metaphor, right? Where there's could be hundreds, could be thousands of individuals, you know, and you're moving around, you know, blocks of maybe 10 figures, but those 10 figures represent, you know, 10,000 or 100, you know, because it's a war, you know, you're simulating a war.
Would this be something like Risk? Like the board game Risk? Or
sure,
bigger?
Sure. Like, I mean, Risk is, there would be a lot of debate on whether Risk is an actual war game or not. It does have some of that simulation aspect.
Like with Risk, you only have like 5 players.
Sure, it's abstracted.
Would it be like with more, like a lot more players?
You can play with more or less. Sometimes you play one versus one with the thing. And so war games have been around since ancient times because they would play war games to practice for, you know, the real thing.
And so, like with these role-playing games, like a participant embodies a character and plays a game through the perspective of the character.
Yeah.
And the games themselves have like an internal kind of logic, or like within the universe of the game, there's rules that if the way the universe functions, right?
Yeah.
And then within that, like you have someone who's usually like the leader,
a game master. Yeah.
So how does that function? Like in general terms, what does a game master do, and what do the players do?
Well, a game master, which in most of my games is generally me, so maybe I'm a little biased because I've ran more games than I've played in. But So the game master, you know, does they do the world creation generally. It sets the stage. Yep. Like, here we are, this is the world that we're in, this is what's going on, and then basically says, what do you want to do? And then you have your character, and you say, hey, I want to do this thing. I want to go up this mountain. I want to go find the dragon's hoard and, you know, get all the gold. And, you know, hey, I want to take this magic ring, and we have to dispose of it in this volcano that's a million miles away.
So then you, as game master, would have to create would have to create like the path by which the player has to do that, and you would create the obstacles.
Generally, yes. So you can do that generally. In my experience, if you actually create that path that goes along, we call that a railroad generally, because you're on tracks and there's no deviation.
It's kind of like if it were a board game, like the
right.
The
so this not being a board game, you usually start with the end and then tell the players and then let them kind of figure out. Because I guarantee that no matter what, if you set up this whole wonderful linear thing to get from point A to point B, there is no way that any player is actually going to follow that path. They're going to deviate, you know, right away. So,
do all the players have to agree upon the goal, the ultimate goal?
Generally, yes.
Okay, so then once the players agree upon the goal, is it your job as the master of the game to like figure out how each player has to get there, so they like have each player confront different things?
So everybody's generally together with their characters are also together on
we're all going on
the journey. And so I mean you put obstacles in front of them or whatever. You try and include different things that suit whatever players you have at the table.
Right.
You know, if you've got somebody that is good at sneaking around or something, and you don't want to have everything be out in the open in broad daylight,
Right, so you want to give people a chance to use, like, for their characters to use their own individual skills.
Exactly, So you give them moments to shine and things like that,
And so how do you, like, you have to think of this, you as a game master have to think of this as you're playing the game, right?
Yes.
And do you also you must have to keep track of, like, where they are in the game, like how far they've come to their...
Yep, so we have... we try and keep track on maps and things like that, and it all depends on how... Like, there's a bunch of different games, and they all handle different, those things differently, and it's all depending on how you really want to do it.
Right.
Like, some people really want a travel aspect, right?
Yeah.
So, like, and I know we mentioned, Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, right? But, like, so that's a game where, like, travel is important, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the whole thing,
going on a quest.
But there's some, like, in D&D, like, sometimes you focus on that, but other times you might just say, okay, a week later, you're here.
Yeah.
You made it to the volcano. I throw the ring in. It's done.
Like without writing in the narrative.
Right. You don't do the travel, and you just go right to the dungeon or the castle or the dragon's lair or whatever. Because then you just there's nothing interesting that happens along the way.
Tedious or whatever.
Right. But I like that kind of minutia where it's like, hey, what are we gonna do? And I'll roll randomly every day to see if. The wolves attack and on the plains, when they're
so
going through the plains, things
mind,
like that.
Do you plan out, like, before you roll the dice, do you plan out, like, if it's going to be a 6, that means the wolves attack. If it's going to be 7, that means that, like, you've restored your shield, restored its powers, or...
So for me, for example, I have D6s, normal 6-sided dice, that have skulls instead of the ones on them. And so every day I will roll 3 of those. And so there's basically a 50% chance that a skull is going to come up, and that for me that means there's a random encounter that day.
Oh, I see. So, like, you have a head of it. And we are going to talk more about this. We're all going to more conversation. We're talking today to Bud Green and Donna Ray about the classic days of Rock 107 and Roger Rebisz from the Central New York Role-Playing Game Convention. We'll have more from them when we return, and Lily Christopher is here with her report on Mariah's Closet. I'll have the video and podcast of this show online Wednesday at unicaphoenix.net/Media Monday, along with links in the show notes. I'm Ron Klopfanstein. You're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. I'll have more after the break.
Thank you, beautiful.
This is Ron Klopfanstein, and you're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. In 2 weeks on Hot Seat Media Monday, our guest will be superstar Ryan Quinn. That's Monday, June 23rd at 5 p.m. right here on 95.5 FM The Heat broadcast and 955theheat.com for streaming, and probably, maybe even next week, possibly coming soon to Twitch. Good. So we'll be streaming live on Twitch. On next week's show, we're talking about how people use media to memorialize. With Jennifer Boulanger, she's the author of A Song for Olaf, a book that she just wrote about her brother who died of AIDS. And Sue Francisco is the founder of Whitney's Legacy, and Kelly Fahey, the chairman of Whitney's Legacy Music Fest. They both were on the show before too. Whitney's Legacy was founded in memory of her daughter who died. Keeping with that theme, tonight our associate producer Lily Christopher has her first story. Report on Mariah's Closet, a thrift store that opened in New Hartford in honor of Mariah Reed, an 18-year-old who lost her life to suicide. Her enduring message was to be kind. Here's that report.
Hi everybody, this is Lily Christopher here outside of Mariah's Closet to show you some fun fashion for 95.5 Phoenix Radio. What would you say so far has been the highlight of all of this Robert? Favorite things do you just enjoy about it coming up?
The biggest thing is Mariah's legacy. Her dream was to open a thrift store, so we were trying to make that happen for her. She was one that loved thrifting, and all of her clothes were thrifted. Even her entire outfit was thrifted in that collection. She just loved putting together fashion and making her own unique fashion, and yeah, we just kept trying to keep her memory alive and do things that she wanted to do.
What was the hope that she did with the store? What do you think she's still right now?
I think a sense of community, bringing people together, and she was always into like saving the earth and things like that. So like, instead of this stuff going to a dump, it comes here. People are able to get name brand clothes for a really cheap price. I mean, our jeans, I don't think any of them are over like $14, and those are only ones that have like tags on them and are brand new. So you can get name brand stuff, and I would hope that, I mean, she was big on bringing people together and just being kind to everyone, and that's her little hashtag we do, is be kind like Mariah, because she would never say a bad word about anyone. She was always so nice to everyone, even when she was hurting on the inside. I mean, she was spreading joy and happiness for everybody else. So
that's very nice. What do you say in the story? What are the pieces that you really want people flying by? What are things you really think would capture people and make this store representative? Talk about some eye pictures up front before showing the collections. So tell us, what's this picture right here?
So this is a drawing that Mariah did, actually, the one in the middle. And then one of her friends, Gianna, who's actually an employee here as well, she finished the sketch around it and the drawing for our logo here. So she did this entire thing. But this is Mariah's art, the middle of it. Yes, she was. Yeah, we just got a bunch of crystalline, so that's been a big thing. This was not hers. These are all donated items that people just bring in. We do these mystery jewelry jars with it a lot. They don't stay, they sell instantly. So it's basically a glass jar, and it's got a whole bunch of jewelry in it, and it's a surprise when they get it home.
I've never seen a pair of Jordans like these before.
Yeah, so these are actually my nephew's, and he wanted to sell them, so I told him to bring them up here and he could see if he could sell them. He was into the shoes big time, but he's kind of getting rid of a lot of them, so I told him he could bring them up here and put them in the case. But a lot of our more expensive items will come in here. We've had a a few Tiffany lamps. We have a brand new drone in there right now. We had a Mackenzie Child's lamp that was brand new that we sold. So a lot of the more expensive stuff we'll put in a case, or the nicer looking things we'll put in there.
You can get help 24/7 from the National Suicide and Crisis Hotline. You can contact them at any time by calling or texting 988. Our associate producer, Lily Christopher, is standing by. And Lily, you know, as I listened to the story, one of the things that really struck me, and we really didn't talk about this beforehand, but like, that was a really ambitious story for someone doing their first story. To think about, it was more than just a store, you know, the meaning, what this store represented, and you know, you did an excellent job of talking to her mother about, you know, such a painful thing that they're turning into something positive. So just congratulations on that. That was good.
Thank you, Ron.
You handled yourself so well talking to somebody about something that's really painful and sensitive, and that's hard. So. And I also like the way that you kind of pulled back and made it fun. And what were some of the cool things that you saw at that store? I remember, like, when she mentioned leather jackets, you know, that got my attention quickly. And I was, what did you like about the thrift store? You're a leather jacket fan too? I love leather jackets. So yeah. So Lily, what did you like best about the store?
That's hard because there were so many things I liked best. I would have to say.
What do you look for in thrift stores?
I would have to say that I like the best are the purses, because I'm always looking for a fun old purse or a fun purse that just looks different than like something you would find anywhere. So I would just have to say purses and t-shirts and just things people brought in, but purses for me probably number one.
That's cool. I was looking at the book. There was book bags. I didn't find one I wanted, but I thought maybe like an old leather book bag, like a reporter would have. That'd be cool. And also, you know what impressed me about that place is that there were men's clothes. Because I never think about men's clothes at thrift stores. And it was like when she mentioned the leather jackets and it was jeans, and I was like, wow, this is cool. And it's at Big Apple Plaza. It's very easy to find. Where is it? You told me where to go. So where is it?
This store is in Big Apple Music Plaza in New Hartford, located right across the street from, it was J.K. Lumber, now it just recently changed to
Curtis.
Yeah,
Curtis
so,
Lumber.
Yep. And this store is by Tony's Pizzeria, and right, is it Tony's and Fortune Cookie? And it's kind of across from First Source. So that part, yeah. So gotta check that out, Mariah's Closet, and you know what? It's a great store, and it's a great cost.
What are the hours? Because I think I want to stop in. Maybe they have something. You know, I love like sequins and stuff like that for stage work. What do you know their hours off here?
They're open every day, and we have those hours on our website. Unless you know them off the top of your head, Lily.
I do not know.
I could tell you were playing, and I was playing too. So
I do know,
but I had your back there.
They're open in the afternoon. I don't know the exact closing time, but I know in the afternoon they're open.
And it is every day, which was nice too. That you know they're very convenient and just so much different stuff there. You know.
Yeah. It sounds like a fun place, Lily. Well, you have a great job. You got to go there and have some fun. But it is a very sad thing about Mariah. Just so sad that somebody that young thought that was the end of the world.
Yeah. Exactly. It's very, very mixed emotions. And Brandy, the store owner, said they've turned it into not only a store but a community kind of like hot spot for therapy to allow customers to get to know them, and it's not, they don't just look at it there as a profit. They look at Mariah's Closet as a way to help people with the same struggles and to make a warm community. I just thought this was such a good first story because mental health goes in so many people, and many people who you wouldn't think it. When you look at this Mariah Reed, she always seemed very happy. Her motto was to be kind, and little did people know what she was struggling with. So I just thought it was a good story that while this girl, before she passed away, she was struggling, but she used her dreams of fashion and her expressiveness through fashion to be kind and to use it as a way to show others that she was there.
Good good for you. Such a meaningful first story too. That really impressive job. You know?
Bravo.
And our producer Jay Easy also impressive. He's on the ball. He's got the hours. Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7. So good hours there, you know. And noon to 5 on Sundays. So, you know, that is really, so it's really open a lot. It's easy to find, you know, Big Apple.
Big Apple Music.
Yep, right there. So Lily, good job with that. So now, today we're talking to Bud Green and Donna Ray about the classic days of local radio, and Roger Rebisz from Central New York Role-Playing Game Convention. So what were some of the fun times you guys had back in the old days of radio? I know I put time.
So wait, I think
Go ahead.
I had more fun. The 80s were...
I think the further back you go, the more fun things were.
Well, yeah,
know?
because then you have less regulations.
I was gonna say.
And you pretty much do what you want.
Yes.
I mean, I was just... At WOUR, I was actually pulling records. Whatever I wanted to play and put on at nighttime, because I did the overnights. At Rock 107, it was more strict because JR was strict.
Yes, he was.
You know, you gotta do this, you gotta play this.
But I had fun anyway.
It was fun. But what we did back in the 80s, we were just laughing about it. I had my sweatshirt, the Donna Ramone sweatshirt,
I love that.
and we also, all of us had the satin jacket.
Oh yeah.
That said Rock 107.
Oh my gosh.
They were like purple and yellow. I actually remember those. They were awesome.
So
I want a satin jacket for Heat Squad.
Wow.
Oh my gosh,
I want one to fit me. This doesn't even fit me anymore. I put my, over, and I got it stuck. I'm like, what? I didn't gain that much weight. I think it shrunk in the attic. That's
what happened.
But when we walked, now remember the drinking age was 18.
I do remember that, yeah.
But
it
when you were DJing, it was 21,
yep.
which
21.
That made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because the bars, when I DJ'd in the 80s and went out and had fun, were loaded with people.
I know. Yeah.
Everywhere we went. If we did a Rock 107 night, we'd all wear our T-shirts, our jackets, and we were like, wow, these guys, it's like when you watch somebody on TV, they have the old shows, the old movies like that, when they walk in like, oh my God,
oh my God,
like,
it's so exciting.
And it's true.
It was unbelievable, and it was just the things that we did, the dance parties later on. Yeah. But I organized.
We used to school dances too. I mean, we DJ all school dances, and civic centers all over.
we got ugly at our school dances. Or at the remotes. Yeah. Now I'm Donna Ray, but I was Donna Ramone, and I got to tell you how I got the name. JR is hilarious. He was hilarious. He said, "I can't have you be Donna Ray, because we have Linda Ray, which I told everybody was my mom." But, sorry, Linda. But no, we're about the same age. She's just a tiny bit older than me. But that's my real name. Yeah. And no, we can't have that. So you are going to be Donna Ramone. And I said, Ramones, like the Ramones? Yeah, that too. But he said, yeah, just if they say anything, just say you're the Ramones' little unknown sister.
There you go.
Okay, and then he started calling me Death Ray.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool name.
That just came. I don't even know where that came out.
I don't remember that.
It's just Donna Death Ray. So it kind of stuck. But we did gong shows. The gong show, that was pretty popular in the 70s. So I said, let's do a gong show over at Lily Langtree's. Y'all remember that?
Barrack Street. Yep. Awesome.
I used to DJ there when they had, the disco and stuff.
You DJ'd everywhere.
Pretty much everywhere, just like Bill T. And
Bill T. That's right.
Yeah, and we did the gong show. Yes, he is. Hi, Bill. And oh my God, the judges, let's see, I think one was Bob Aquaviva, Carmen Carmonica, JR was there. They wore tuxes too.
Yes, these are
It was like so, woohoo! And we had the Gong Show t-shirt. I think I got a Gong Show t-shirt still up in the attic. It's definitely not going to fit me. But man, it was just so much fun. Everything was fun. The cruising Corvette. Hi, Dave Navoy, Sherry's ex-boyfriend. We went to Boonville and did that parade every year in the cruising Corvette with Tucker the Clown. He was always with us, and we just, if you go on the Rock 107
radio
tribute,
stations were so involved in the community then.
Oh yeah, we were.
Yeah.
It was.
I
like,
got the video on there, the Corvette and everything. You go to my website, check it out.
That's right. Go to
it's the Rock 107 tribute page. It's, it's
on Facebook.
I mean, on Facebook. Just type in Rock 107.
And we'll put
you'll
links
see
to
it.
all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
You'll see it.
And Roger, before we go, tell us about the convention this weekend. The role playing convention.
Yeah, I got my dice.
Yeah,
look at
roll
this.
the dice.
Yeah, you're all set.
So how does the person go to this? This is going to be Saturday, Sunday at the Burstone on Burstone Road.
Yep.
And a person, do you buy tickets in advance or just show up? Or?
Yes, you can buy a badge online. And if you buy a badge online before Thursday, I believe is when we're going to cut that off because I have to print the badges.
Oh, okay,
so, then you can sign up for games online. You can see all the games are there on the website and how many slots are open and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then at some point Thursday, you're going to print the badges. I'm going to print those schedules out, and anything that has slots available will be on display on the table. So if anybody comes in, they can just look.
Oh, so
and
like
say,
there may be empty slots. Maybe
exactly.
Cool,
yeah.
Jump into
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And then I've got a couple people kind of on standby to run games, like if
overflow?
if a group comes in or whatever and wants to, and things are full, and they can just run things on the fly. And I'll do that if I have to, if I'm not running around pulling my hair out. But
right.
We'll see how that goes.
It's gotta be a lot.
And Roger, I know you told me, but just for people who don't know and maybe want to experience this, they don't have to dress up.
No,
right?
No, you don't have to dress up.
Okay. Because I didn't know.
That's called LARPing. That's live action role playing, and they bring they have the swords, and that's kind of a different group of people. I mean, people are welcome to dress up,
right?
Yeah, well, people do that at Comic Cons. They dress up, but there's a whole sect of people that will dress up as their character. And
now, do you have people for this that will come dress up?
Well, this is my first year, so I don't know.
So you don't know. So
we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Wow.
But generally, there are people that do dress up for these things. I'm not doing anything specific. For like a costume contest or anything like that.
And people can
just kind
come in costume,
feeling it out. But people, I'm sure that there will be people that wear some things.
Well, that'd be cool.
The little rubber ears.
or,
coming in full.
Will there be a volcano there? We can throw a ring in or no?
Yeah, I mean we can. If it gets you to buy a ticket, then you know what, we'll make arrangements.
All right, very good.
We'll get a little baking soda and vinegar science project volcano, and you could throw one of those plastic rings in there.
There you go.
Yeah.
How big are the rings?
So,
are they like finger rings or are they?
So what got you into this in the first place? For someone new, if they want to get into this, if they want to give this a try, what's fun about this? Before we close off this show.
New people are great
because
too, right? Because it's very imaginative, and that's one of the reasons why new people are great because and the players that play with me every week, I'm sure if any of them watch or listen to this, that I'll get yelled at in a couple weeks. But once you start to get into the rule book and you start to figure out the rules and how things work, your mind kind of gets set of like, this is how things work and this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
But people that are brand new, they have no idea how the rules work or anything, and they're like, oh, I just want to do this thing.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, I have to do this rule because this goes this way or whatever. Just like, oh, I want to, climb on top of this rock and like drop down on top of the dragon or whatever, And so they generally do it
opens up like
cooler things.
Stories.
Yeah.
Possibilities and stuff.
And it's great. Like new players, like we always are very welcoming of anybody that wants to learn.
Yeah.
And all of that, and it's people that sometimes people look at character sheets and they see that there might be math involved or whatever, and it looks intimidating, but it's more just like you sit down at the table and you improv.
Yeah.
And when you got to roll the die, somebody will say, "Hey, just add this number to this or do this."
It sounds like a friendly, like you talk about the community. It sounds like a great experience for that. So
it's fantastic.
We will have links to all that stuff, and we'll have the video and podcast of this show online Wednesday at uticaphoenix.net/media Monday. Also, links to our feature stories on Central New York Roller Derby and Mariah's Plaza online as well. Our sound engineer is Jonathan Brooks. He's DJ Jay Easy, and he's up next with Easy Ride Home. Jim Howell records the show for YouTube and podcast. Lily Christopher is our associate producer. And Bill Kahn is our entertainment correspondent. And I'm Ron Klopfanstein. I'll be back next week with another Hot Seat Media Monday.
Yeah, that's what you did.